Module Overview. Transparency and access to information are fundamental principles of democratic governance, anti-corruption efforts, and citizen empowerment. Transparency implies the open availability and proactive disclosure of government activities, decisions, and resource usage, enabling citizens, civil society organizations, media, and oversight bodies to scrutinize public power and ensure accountability. This module provides a broad, deep, and detailed exploration of transparency as a governance mechanism, examines legal frameworks like freedom of information, FOI, laws, digital technologies that promote open data, and the philosophy of open government. It addresses both formal transparency mechanisms and informal practices that promote visibility of governance activities. And it also identifies the barriers that impede true openness. Understanding transparency in governance. Transparency refers to the availability, clarity, and comprehensibility of information about government activities, especially decisions, policies, finances, and service delivery. It includes visibility of government plans, contracts, and spending. Proactive disclosure of public information without the need for citizens to request it. Clarity and accuracy of records and documentation. Simplicity and accessibility of government information to all citizens, regardless of education or status. Transparency precedes accountability. Without information, citizens and institutions cannot hold power accountable. It is the light that exposes inefficiency, corruption, or abuse, and it enables citizens to participate meaningfully in the democratic process. Legal foundations, right to information, RTI, and FOI laws. Across the globe, over 120 countries have passed freedom of information, FOI, or right to information, RTI legislation. These laws grant citizens the right to request and obtain information from public institutions. Require public offices to respond within stipulated timeframes. Mandate the proactive publication of budgets, policies, procurement records, and contracts. Provide sanctions for refusal, delay, or falsification of public information. Examples: Nigeria's Freedom of Information Act, 2011, India's RTI Act, 2005, UK's Freedom of Information Act, 2000, US Freedom of Information Act, FOIA, 1966. Challenges to FOI implementation often include lack of awareness, bureaucratic resistance, poor archiving and digitization, vague national security exemptions, intimidation of requesters. Open government and open governance principles. Open government is a governance philosophy and framework that promotes transparency, making government data and decisions publicly accessible. Participation, allowing citizens to contribute to policymaking. Collaboration, partnering with civil society and private sector in governance. Open government is a response to the growing demand for inclusive, people-driven governance and aims to break the traditional barriers of secrecy and elite control. Global initiatives include Open Government Partnership, OGP, a multilateral initiative of 75+ countries committed to open data, civic tech, transparency reforms, and anti-corruption. E-government platforms, portals that provide citizens with real-time data on government operations, services, and performance. Digital budget tracking, tools that monitor how government funds are allocated and spent. Tools and mechanisms for promoting transparency. Governments and civic groups use various tools to promote transparency. Open Budget Index, OBI. Procurement portals, e.g., Nigeria's Bureau of Public Procurement portal. Government service charters, defining timelines and duties. Open Contracting Data Standards, OCDS. E-government and M-government apps. Citizen report cards, webcasts of legislative sessions. Whistleblower protection systems, digital civic platforms, and blockchain-based audits. Transparency is further enhanced when these tools are user-friendly, publicized, available in local languages, accessible via mobile technologies. Barriers to transparency. Despite laws and tools, transparency can be hindered by bureaucratic secrecy and cultural resistance, lack of data infrastructure, fear of exposure by corrupt officials, high cost of accessing data, weak enforcement of disclosure obligations, inadequate civic education or digital literacy, excessive classification of public documents under national security. Transparency without accountability is cosmetic. Real change comes when information leads to civic action and institutional correction. Impact of transparency on governance. When transparency thrives, governance becomes more responsive to citizens, less corrupt due to exposure, more efficient through oversight, more inclusive, allowing public participation, better performing as officials act, knowing they're watched. Research shows that transparent budgeting and public contract disclosure reduce mismanagement, build trust, and improve service delivery, especially in sectors like education, healthcare, and infrastructure. Role of the media and civil society. The media and civil society serve as transparency champions. Their roles include investigative journalism, FOI activism, and litigation, monitoring government websites and reporting gaps, public campaigns and infographics, data analysis and storytelling, e.g., Budgeti in Nigeria. Media repression, digital surveillance, and fake news can stifle this role. So legal protections for journalists and activists are critical for real transparency. The future of transparency. Emerging innovations to strengthen transparency include artificial intelligence, AI, powered data audits, blockchain-based public ledgers, crowdsourced platforms for reporting misconduct, machine-readable budgets, and open data APIs, AI assistants that auto-respond to FOI requests. Future governance will demand radical openness, where transparency is embedded into systems, not just policies. Conclusion of module. Transparency is more than a governance strategy. It is a democratic value. It empowers citizens, deters wrongdoing, strengthens institutions, and fuels public trust. Without transparency, power becomes untraceable and potentially dangerous. This module provides learners with the frameworks, tools, and critical understanding needed to implement transparency in any organization, policy field, or government.